Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap and welcome to the marathon session that we are conducting for the NABARD Grade A 2024 to boost your level of preparation so that you can gauge that how much you remember and how much you do not remember, how more you have to know from the examination perspective. Okay, so these are the marathon sessions that we are running for the NABARD Grade A 2024. Now today we are going to have the coverage of the ESI static. So not only me but Jaskaran sir is also going to come for your ESI static session. So let's get started. I hope you all are excited. I hope you all are you all have studied about the ESI static, the basic information, the basic knowledge you need in the ESI static. I hope you have covered that much. Okay, so I hope I am clearly audible and visible. Give me a thumbs up if everything is fine, and good afternoon to everyone. So let's start the session without any delay, but before that, do subscribe to the YouTube channel of EduTap and you will get the PDF of the session. You will get the PDF of the session in the Telegram channel. The link for the Telegram channel is provided in the description box below. So hello everyone, welcome to the session. So let's start with the questions. I hope you all are ready. Give me a thumbs up if you all are ready. Just give me a thumbs up, okay? So coming to the first question, okay. So coming to the first question, let's see how many of you are able to answer the question. So in the previous years, as per the previous year pattern, the ESI static questions, they have come from the inflation chapter. So ESI static, if the question is coming from the ESI static, like many a times in the previous year, the trend has been seen that it has come from the inflation chapter. So this chapter is very important. Yes, approximately that much. Okay. So deflation, when there is a general fall in the level of prices, when the level of prices is falling, that is deflation. Stagflation is the combination of inflation and rising unemployment. So when inflation is also happening as well as unemployment is also increasing, that is stagflation. Disinflation, that means that is there is positive inflation. That is there is positive inflation, but the inflation is decreasing. So that is disinflation. Inflation is there is positive inflation, but the inflation rate is decreasing from 8% to 6% to 4%. So there is positive inflation, but the inflation rate is decreasing, that is disinflation. Reflation means that there is the increase in prices because of the government policies to counter the contraction in the economy, to counter the recession or depression in the economy. The government has taken the steps to increase the prices. So that is reflation. Whenever there is contraction, whenever there is the decrease in the demand, whenever there is the decrease that is coming in the economic activities, the government takes steps, take actions to increase the prices, that is increase the demand, and that is reflation. Now skewflation means that there is inflation that is coming in a set of commodities only, or a group of commodities only. So that is skewflation. The prices of a set of commodities is rising. There is inflation that is coming in a set of commodities, like only food group, let's say, or only fuel group. So in a particular group there is a inflation that is coming, that is skewflation. That is skewflation. So this statement is wrong because the prices are not falling, the prices are increasing in the skewflation. So here the information is given to you so that you can read, and if you do not know about any of the category, you can know about it. Now coming to the next question, that increase in the absolute and per capita real GDP or real GNP do not connote a higher level of economic growth, economic development, if which of the following is there. So economic growth is happening, that means economic growth means real GDP is increasing. Real GDP, the production is increasing. So that shows that there is economic growth that is happening. But economic growth is happening, but economic development is not happening. So which kind of scenario this can be? Which kind of scenario this can be? So try to answer this. In which of the following scenarios this is possible? When there is poverty and unemployment that is increasing. So if there is economic growth, but with that economic growth, let's say the conditions of the economy, the standard of living of the people is decreasing. So in that scenario, the economic development, we cannot say that economic development is happening. Economic development means that there is economic growth, the production, the real GDP is increasing, as well as literacy, employment, that is also increasing, inequality is decreasing, poverty is decreasing, mortality rates are decreasing. So that is economic growth that sees not only the quantitative factor but also the qualitative factor. Okay. Now coming to the next question, that which of the following matches is incorrect. So there is the match of the following that is given. Now you have to tell that which of the following matches is incorrect. So read the question carefully and try to answer this. So when prices are rising rapidly like a running of a horse at a rate or speed of 10 to 20% per annum, this is called running inflation. So that is correct. Demand pull inflation means that because of the increase in demand, the inflation is coming. So that is because of expansionary fiscal policy. Expansionary fiscal policy means this is the policy of the government where the government is trying to expand the economy, where the government is trying to increase the demand, increase its expenditure. So when the government is increasing its expenditure, there is the demand that is increasing. So that is causing demand pull inflation, as well as if inflation forecast are there. That means in the future inflation can happen. So you will start demanding more right now to get the products at the relatively cheaper price. So demand pull inflation happens because of these reasons. That is correct. Cost push inflation happens because of increase in the cost of production. When the cost of production is increasing, like the wages are increasing or the price of raw material is increasing, then there is cost push inflation. That is correct. Now cost push inflation is when the aggregate supply decreases. So when the cost of production is increasing, the aggregate supply is decreasing. Okay, the aggregate supply decreases. So this is also correct. According to the Phillips curve, if there is lower inflation rate, if the inflation rate is decreasing, then there is the increase in the unemployment rate, because there is inverse relationship between the inflation rate and unemployment rate. So this statement is wrong because there is inverse relationship between the inflation rate and unemployment rate. Most of you have given the right answer. That is absolutely correct. So this is all the information. So there is inverse relationship. As per Phillips curve, there is an inverse relationship between the unemployment rate and the inflation rate. If inflation rate is increasing, unemployment rate is decreasing, and vice versa. Okay. Next question, try to read the question and try to answer this. So we will do like 90 questions approximately. I have brought some previous year questions also. So we are going to discuss those also. Okay. So 80 questions in this manner, and then there are some previous year questions also that I have brought separately. So 95 questions approximately. Okay. If the inflation rate is 14%, if the inflation is increasing by 14%, while your nominal wages are increasing by 13%, that means your real wages are declining slightly. Okay, because your real wages are how much? Your real wages are your nominal wages divided by price level. The price level is increasing by 14% while the nominal wages is decreasing by 13%. So your real wages are declining slightly. Your real wages are declining slightly. Okay, if the inflation is rising faster than your nominal wages, that means your real wages are declining slightly. So this is the idea. Now coming to the CPI. So from in the previous year, there was a direct question from the CPI. So read the statements carefully and try to answer. So first of all, CPI for industrial workers, agricultural laborers and the rural laborers is compiled by the Labor Bureau in the Ministry of Labor and Employment. That is correct. Second, the CPI, that is Consumer Price Index for rural area, urban area and combined. This is compiled by the NSO, National Statistical Office in the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This is also correct. Anyone who is able to tell the answer here? No one. How is it so? CPI is an indicator of retail inflation in India. That is also correct because CPI is the consumer price index. So it is showing us the position of the consumers. So this is also correct. You have to find the incorrect statement. Kindly see here that the CPI has several subgroups including food and beverages, fuel and light, housing, clothing and footwear, excluding all services. No. The consumer price index includes the miscellaneous services. It includes the services also. The wholesale price index does not include the services, but the consumer price index includes the services. Got it? Got it? That it is including the miscellaneous services. So it is not excluding all services. There are miscellaneous services that are added in the consumer price index. So consumer price index, it is including the subgroups of food and beverages, fuel and light, housing, clothing, footwear, and miscellaneous service. Okay. As per the recommendation of Urjit R. Patel Committee in 2014, the inflation measure of CPI combined is most representative among available measures of inflation for the monetary policy. Correct. That's why CPI combined is used for calculating the headline inflation, retail inflation in the country, that we'll call inflation. So inflation is happening in our country, that is seen through the CPI, consumer price index, that is seen through the consumer price index. Got it? So C is the answer here. You already knew the things, but you have to apply your knowledge as well as you have to read the statements very carefully. Okay. So C was the answer. Any confusion here? So Urjit R. Patel Committee has given the recommendation in 2014 that CPI combined, that is consumer price index combined, for the rural area and for the urban area, that is for whole of the country, the consumer price index that we are calculating, that should be used for calculating the inflation, for calculating the retail inflation, or for calculating the headline inflation in our country. Okay, that is correct. Now coming to the next question, try to read the question and try to answer this question. So with reference to the inflation targeting framework being followed by the Reserve Bank of India, which of the following option is incorrect, that you have to tell me. So which of the following is incorrect? First of all, ensuring price stability is legal responsibility of RBI. So that is correct. Government of India set the inflation target and the RBI has to follow the target. That is also correct. The inflation target are reviewed every 5 years and they are decided for 5 years. That is correct. Inflation target has been fixed in terms of all India CPI combined. So we have discussed that yes, in terms of all India CPI combined, the inflation targets are being set by the Government of India for the Reserve Bank of India. Now RBI is responsible for containing inflation targets at 4% plus minus 2%. So the range is that 4% minus 2%, that is 2%, 4% plus 2%, that is 6%. That is the RBI is responsible for containing the inflation within the range of 2% to 6%, that is around 4% plus minus 2%. So here the incorrect statement was E. E was the incorrect statement. 3% should not be there, it should be 2%. Got it? Clear now? So it is inflation targeting framework says that the inflation target for April 2021 to March 2026 is 4% plus minus 2%. That is within the range of 2% and 6%. So what is the lower tolerance level? 2% is the lower tolerance level and 6% is the upper tolerance level. So this is the idea. Now coming to the next question. Now this is regarding the wholesale price index, the WPI. So try to answer this question now. So anyone who is able to give the right answer of this question? So in regards to the wholesale price index, it measures the changes in prices of goods sold and traded in bulk. So yes, it is regarding the wholesale, right? It is published by NSO? No, it is not published by NSO. Okay. Next is major criticism for this index is that the general public does not buy products at the wholesale price. Yes, that's why it is not used in the inflation, like for calculating the inflation for the whole of the country. The base year of All India WPI has been revised from 2004-5 to 11-12 in 2017. That is also correct. WPI continues to constitute 3 major groups, that is primary articles, manufactured products, and your fuel and power. Okay. So this is correct. Now the WPI is being published by the Office of Economic Advisor, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So WPI is not issued or not released by NSO, it is released by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Okay. Now next is GDP deflator is used to measure which of the following or compare which of the following. So GDP deflator is used for which of the following? So GDP deflator is used to measure the inflation in a country. It is also known as the implicit price deflator. Okay, so that is the idea. The GDP deflator is also known as implicit price deflator because the GDP deflator is a comprehensive measure of inflation. The formula of GDP deflator is nominal GDP divided by real GDP. Nominal GDP is the current production at the current prices. Real GDP is the current production at the constant or at the base year prices, or some constant prices. So nominal GDP divided by real GDP is your GDP deflator. Nominal GDP is the current production multiplied by current prices. Real GDP is your current production multiplied by base year prices. So that is the idea. Next is, try to give the right answer of this question. Here you have to tell the correct statement, okay? So national poverty headcount ratio is the percentage of the population living below the national poverty line. So that is correct. When we say headcount ratio, that means we are counting the poor people that are below the poverty line. Okay. How we are saying that this person is poor person? By seeing that the person is below the poverty line. So national poverty headcount ratio is the percentage of the population that is living below the poverty line. The Lorenz curve, it is a graphical representation that shows you the relationship between the income, the percentage of the income and the percentage of the population. That which percentage of the population, how much percentage of the population have how much percentage of income. Let's say 70% of the population has 30% of the income. So this is shown by Lorenz curve, that is a graphical representation showing the difference between, or showing the percentage of income with the percentage of population. It is not showing the consumption. It is showing the percentage of income with the percentage of population. Okay. Relative poverty, it shows the relative. It shows the poverty in the relative context. That is that how poor we are in comparison to the Ambanis, or how poor the people that are living in, like, they do not have the house or they do not have food to eat. So how poor they are in comparison to the lower middle class or middle class. So relative means when we are comparing the two population groups. So here this is not correct. Here the comparison is not written, it is not shown. Okay. So second and third were wrong. Only the first one was correct. So here the answer is A. Okay. So relative poverty is the condition in which people lack the minimum amount of income needed in order to maintain an average living standard in the society in which they live. Okay. So here when we are comparing a group of people with the society or with the other group of population, then this is the relative poverty, when we are comparing a group of people with the society or with the other part of the population. Okay. Then we can compare and we can tell that yes, these group is poor. Okay. So here the answer is D. Here the answer is A, sorry. Here the answer is A, that only A is the correct statement. The second and third are the incorrect statements. Okay. Now coming to the next question, that is, in this type of unemployment, unemployed person is the one who seems to be employed but actually he is not employed. His contribution to the total output is zero or negligible. Okay, so he seems to be working but actually he is not producing anything, or he is not adding to the output. Okay, his marginal means additional product that he is providing is zero or negligible. When more people are engaged in a job than actually required, a state of this kind of unemployment is created, and this kind of unemployment is your disguised unemployment. That is disguised unemployment. Now structural unemployment is what kind of unemployment? Structural unemployment is when your skills are not matching. The skills that you are providing is not matching the skills that are required by the employer. Okay, so there is the mismatch in the skills, because let's say there is technological development that has happened, and with the development or with the new technology coming up, the skill set mismatches. Okay, what is cyclical unemployment? Because of the business cycle, let's say there is boom that is coming. With the expansion in the economy, there is more employment that is generated, so lesser unemployment is there. But when there is contraction, when there is recession that is coming or depression that is coming, with the recession or depression, there is lesser employment that is there is more cyclical unemployment. So cyclical unemployment means when due to recession and depression situation, there is unemployment that is coming due to contraction in the economy. Seasonal unemployment, that is caused by seasons. So the agricultural laborers are required during the sowing season, but let's say during the harvesting season, but in the middle they are not much required. So that is causing the seasonal unemployment. So here the disguised unemployment is when people seem to be working but they are not providing any additional output. Okay, so that is disguised unemployment, and here the answer is the disguised unemployment. Now, which of the following option is not a feature of spatial drawing rights, that you have to tell me. I hope that all of you have heard about the spatial drawing rights, so try to answer this. So here, it is an international reserve asset that was created to supplement its member countries' official reserves. Yes. SDR was created by the International Monetary Fund in 1969 so that it can provide an additional reserve asset. It can be used as an international reserve asset. Okay. The value of SDR is based on a basket of 5 currencies, correct? The value of spatial drawing right, this is an international reserve asset. Its value is derived from the value of the 5 currencies, that is dollar, yen, yuan, pound sterling and your euro. Okay, so that is the currency of US, China, Japan, your Britain as well as European Union, we can say. So the SDR value is derived from the basket of 5 currencies. The valuation basket is reviewed and adjusted every 5 years. That is also correct. It is not a currency. It is a potential claim that if you are in a position where you do not have the enough reserve assets, then you can use this spatial drawing right to get the foreign currency. So this is not a foreign currency. This is just a potential claim that you can do. Okay. So it is not a currency. They are only allocated to the members that are elected to participate in the SDR department. That is correct. And all the members of the IMF are participating in the SDR department. So that is the basic idea. So the SDR value depends upon the 5 currencies that I have told you: US dollar, Chinese yuan, euro, Japanese yen and British pound. The SDRs are only allocated to IMF members that are elected to participate in the SDR department, and all the members are elected to participate in the SDR department. That has been clearly written in the IMF website. Okay, and this was created, SDR was created in 1969 to supplement the international reserve asset, and the SDR is only a potential claim. It is not a currency. Okay, now coming to the foreign, like here we have discussed about the foreign exchange reserves also. So foreign exchange reserves like the SDR is part of the foreign exchange reserves in our country. What are the foreign exchange reserves in our country? It is the foreign currency that we are keeping in the foreign exchange reserves. So in the foreign exchange reserves, we keep the foreign currency, we keep the gold, as well as we keep the SDR, as well as there is also reserve tranche position that we are keeping. So in the foreign currency reserves of our country, we are keeping the foreign currency assets, that is foreign currencies, that are the 5 currencies, that is yen, yuan, dollar, euro and British pound. Okay. Gold also we are keeping in the foreign exchange reserves. We are also keeping the spatial drawing rights in the foreign exchange reserves because this is an international asset, reserve asset. Reserve tranche position, this is if we are providing, like all the countries that are member of IMF, they have to provide a quota to the IMF. So India is also providing a quota to IMF. If we are providing a part of the quota, we are providing in the foreign currencies. Okay, so a part of the quota we are providing in the foreign currencies, that is the 5 important currencies in the world. So the quota that we are providing in those foreign currencies, a part of that quota can be used by India itself in the emergency kind of situation, and that is known as the reserve tranche position. So reserve tranche is a portion of the required quota that we are providing to the IMF in the foreign currencies. So a part of that required quota is reserved for India so that India can use it in the emergency kind of situation. Okay. Now coming to the next question, I hope you will be easily able to answer this question. Which of the following can be used as counter-inflationary tool to fight the inflation? To fight the inflation, which of the following measures can be used? Which of the following measures can be used to fight the inflation? Should we increase the government expenditure? If we increase the government expenditure, we are increasing the demand in the economy. With the more demand, the prices start increasing. So we do not want the price to increase. We want to fight the inflation. We want to decrease the inflation. Cutting tax rates. Cutting tax rate means more money the people will hold. If they are having more money, they will spend more, they will demand more, prices will increase. This also we cannot do. Increase the Manrega wages. So again, if we are increasing the wages, so what will happen? Demand will increase, prices will increase. This also we cannot do. Decrease in LPG subsidy, that is decrease the expenditure of the government so that the demand can reduce and the inflation can be controlled, the prices can reduce. So yes, this seems to counter the inflationary tendency, or this seems to counter or fight the inflation, to decrease the inflation. The D is the most appropriate answer. Okay. Next, GDP minus depreciation is equal to. So we have gross domestic product. If we are deducting the depreciation is the wear and tear of machinery. So if we are deducting the depreciation from the gross domestic product, we are coming to net domestic product. We are coming to gross. If we are deducting depreciation from gross, we come to net. Okay, we come to net. So simply the idea is that from the gross, if you deduct the depreciation, you come to net. From the domestic, in the domestic, if you add the net factor income from abroad, that is, we are adding the income that we are earning from abroad. If we add that income, we will come to national. Okay, we will come to national. Then there is the product. Then there is market price. Let's say in the market price, that is the price in the market, we are deducting the indirect taxes and we are adding the subsidies. So from the market price, we will come to the factor cost. So that is in the gross, deduct the depreciation to come at net. In the domestic, add the net factor income from abroad to come to the national. In the market price, deduct the indirect taxes, add the subsidies to come to the factor cost. Okay, so there is the conversion. The basic conversion was asked, only deducting the depreciation. So from the gross, if you deduct the depreciation, you come to the net. The other things remain same because the other variables are not given here. So net domestic product. Okay, yes, net domestic product is the answer here. And if you can see that if you want to go from the domestic to national, you have to add the net factor income from abroad. If you want to go from gross to net, you have to deduct the depreciation. If you want to go from the market price to factor cost, you have to deduct the indirect taxes and add the subsidies, and vice versa. So these are three important formulas that is present in the chapter of your growth and development. Okay, so this is the idea. Now coming to the next question, try to read the question and try to answer this question. This is saying that in the absence of minimum income to get the minimum needs of life, this is concerned with which type of poverty? Is it absolute poverty, situational poverty, relative poverty, intergenerational poverty, or multidimensional poverty? If you do not have the minimum income or the minimum consumption expenditure to get your minimum needs in your life, so this is which kind of poverty? I hope you all know this answer. This is absolutely correct, Nilesh. This is absolute poverty. This is absolute poverty. Okay, that you do not have even enough income to sustain your life, to have the minimum needs of the life. Okay, so that is absolute poverty. Relative poverty is comparison of one group of people with the whole of the population. Situational poverty is when there is a situation like during the COVID, there were many people that became unemployed. They went into poverty because they had nothing to do. The factories were closing down. So situational poverty is because of a particular situation. Intergenerational poverty is from the generations, from the top generation to like grandfather, grandmother, they were poor, parents were poor, and then the coming generations are also poor because they are not able to have the resources, they are not having the education and such. Okay, multidimensional poverty is we are trying to see the poverty from the multiple dimensions of sanitation, education, health and such. So that is multidimensional poverty. So here we are talking about absolute poverty because we are talking about the lack of minimum income to get the minimum needs of life. Okay, now coming to the next question, try to read this question and try to answer this question. So here the question is asking you about the economic reforms of 1991. So here structural reform measures, there were the structural reforms that were undertaken in our country. The structure of our country was somewhat changed. Okay, so structural reform measures include all the liberalization, privatization and globalization reforms that were initiated by the government to boost the economy. It naturally entails unshackling the economy so that it may search for its own potential, so that we can have more productivity, more production in our country. So first seems correct and the second also seems correct. Under this measure, the purchasing capacity of the people to be decreased? No. We want more production. More production will happen when there is more demand. So we actually want to boost the demand so that the production can increase. So 1 and 2 both are actually correct. Both are actually correct and the third one is wrong. So here the answer is B. Coming to the next question, Lorentz curve, it calculates the degree of income inequality. The Gini coefficient is a graphical representation. First of all, Lorentz curve, it is a graphical representation that is showing us the percentage of population and the percentage of income. That is showing us the relationship between the percentage of population and percentage of income. So let's say 10% of the population have 30% of income or so. So the Lorentz curve is graphical representation that is showing us the representation of income inequality. Okay, so this is Lorentz curve. The Gini coefficient, it is calculates. The Gini coefficient, it is a coefficient that calculates the degree of income inequality. So this is opposite. Phillips curve, it shows the relation between inflation and unemployment and has an inverse relationship between the inflation and unemployment. So that is correct. So only the third statement is correct and first and second are incorrect. Okay, so only the third statement is correct. First and second both are incorrect. Gini coefficient, it is a coefficient, it is not a graphical representation. So both the statements were wrong, only the third one was correct and you have to find the correct statement. So 3, that is B only is the answer. Okay, so this is Lorentz curve. This shows the percentage of population and the percentage of income. So here 40% of the population has only 20% of the income, while the 80% of the population has only 60% of the income. So this is the graphical representation that shows the income inequality. Phillips curve shows the inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. Okay, so now coming to the next question, that is Mahel-Bonny's plan model adopted in India in the mid-50s aimed at which of the following? So what was the aim of Mahel-Bonny's plan model? So there was P.C. Mahel-Bonny's plan model that was adopted in the 5-year plans in the mid-50s. So what was the main aim? What was the main aim of the Mahel-Bonny's plan? Building a strong defense industry base, setting up heavy industries which were capital intensive, curbing inflation, removing unemployment. So Mahel-Bonny's plan, it focused on rapid industrialization specifically of the heavy and basic industries such as electricity, iron and steel and such. So here the answer is heavy and setting up heavy industries which were capital intensive. So B is the correct answer. I hope you all know about the Mahel-Bonny's plan. Recently there was the National Statistics Day that we have celebrated in the recognition of the work that the P.C. Mahel-Bonny has done in the statistics field, as well as there was National Statistics Day that was celebrated on the birth date of the P.C. Mahel-Bonny. Okay, so Mahel-Bonny's plan is very important. Now coming to the next question, there was the first 5-year plan. Now you have to tell me that as per the first 5-year plan, which of the following statement is not correct? Which of the following statement is not correct? That you have to tell me. The first 5-year plan was launched from 1st April 1951, correct? The first 5-year plan gave emphasis on heavy industrialization. No. The first 5-year plan was based on Harrod-Dormer model and it gave emphasis to the agriculture and price stability. The first 5-year plan was for the period of 5 years, that is from 1951 to 1956. Okay. So here the B statement was wrong because it gave focus. The second 5-year plan gave, the first 5-year plan gave focus to the agriculture, price stability, power and transport. Okay. Next is dash is the change in cost of goods and services. So simply the CPI inflation, that is the inflation that is affecting the goods and services excluding the prices of food and fuel. So CPI inflation excluding the prices of food and fuel or excluding the volatile prices is known as which of the following? This is known as core inflation. Okay. So core inflation is the inflation that shows us the, or core inflation, it shows us the increase in the prices of goods and services, but it does not include the food and fuel prices. It excludes the food and fuel prices. Very good. So now coming to the next question, kindly read the question carefully and try to answer this question. Here, first of all, balance of payment has two accounts. Balance of payment has current account and capital account. Current account includes the trade in goods. Okay, current account includes the trade in goods. Trade in goods. It includes the trade in services, and the transfer payments such as gifts, remittances, grants. They come under the transfer payments. Okay. Now capital account includes the borrowings. That balance of payment includes the transactions, economic transactions that are happening between the residents of a country and non-residents. So capital account includes the borrowings that we are taking or we are providing. It includes the investments. It also includes the assistance that we are getting from the other countries or the assistance that we are providing to other countries. Okay. So traveling, this comes in the services sector. So it comes under current account. The trade in goods and services, that comes under current account. So here we are asking about the capital account. The Indian rupee can be exchanged for any major currency for the purpose of trading financial asset. Financial asset means investment. So in this comes under, investment comes under capital account and with limitations. So in the capital account of the balance of payment, there is partial convertibility. Okay, because there are limitations in the capital account. Okay, got it? So simply convertibility means that we can convert the rupees into any foreign currency and we can convert the foreign currencies into rupees. So there is convertibility that is present. But in the current account, there is full convertibility, that how much rupees you want to convert, you can convert. So there is full convertibility in the current account for the current account transactions, for the trade in goods, trade in services, for the transfer payments, for the current account transactions, there is full convertibility. But in the capital account, for the investments, for the borrowings, there is limitations, and that's why there is partial convertibility in capital account. That's why in rupees, even if the current account has full convertibility, the capital account has partial convertibility, and that's why in total the rupees has partial convertibility. Okay, because in the capital account there are limitations, restrictions that are imposed. Coming to the next question, try to answer the question. In the context of India, what does the depreciation of rupee means? If the rupee is depreciating, That means $1 is equal to 50 rupees. So now $1 is equal to 70 rupees. So we have to give more rupees to get $1. So the exchange rate is increasing. The exchange rate is increasing as we have to give more rupees to get $1, where the price of foreign currency, where the price of dollar or the value of dollar in terms of domestic currency has increased. Okay, the value of dollars in terms of domestic currency has increased. So here A is the right answer. A is the right answer here. As you can see that before we had to give for the $1 we had to give 65 rupees, but now we have to give 70 rupees for $1. So our currency has depreciated and the foreign currency has appreciated. Our currency, that is rupee, is depreciating if the value of exchange rate is increasing, if the exchange rate is increasing. Okay, now in our country we follow the managed floating exchange rate system. That means we let the currency to fluctuate, we let the foreign currency value in terms of domestic currency to fluctuate, but within a range. If there is too much depreciation of rupees is happening, or if there is too much appreciation of rupees that is happening, we try to control that. The Reserve Bank of India try to control that, because with too much depreciation, exporters are benefited, but the importers are harmed. Importers are harmed because of too much depreciation. If there is too much appreciation that is happening, with too much appreciation, the exporters are harmed. The exporters are harmed. So if there is too much appreciation of our currency, the exporters of our country are harmed. If there is too much depreciation of rupees, if there is too much depreciation of our currency, the importers of our country are harmed. So there is a management that happens, that we let the currency to fluctuate, but within a range. We do not let it to appreciate too much. We do not let it to depreciate too much. So there is managed floating in our country. There is flexible exchange rate, that the exchange rate can move whatever it wants to move. Then there is fixed exchange rate, that we are not letting the exchange rate to move. But managed floating means that we are not making it fixed, that $1 will always remain at equal to 70 rupees and we will do whatever we can do to maintain that. We are not doing that we are not fixing the exchange rate. We are letting the exchange rate to fluctuate, but within a range, not to let it too much appreciation or not letting it to have too much depreciation. So that is managed floating exchange rate system, combination of fixed exchange rate system and flexible exchange rate system. The government intervenes from time to time. There is avoidance of the excessive sudden movements used by most of the nations are following the managed floating exchange rate system. Even our country is having the managed floating exchange rate system. Okay. Now coming to the next question. So the planning commission was replaced by Niti Aayog. So I hope you have the brief idea about the Niti Aayog. Try to answer this question. Niti Aayog was formed Niti Aayog was formed in 2015 and not 2016. Niti Aayog is chaired by the Prime Minister of our country. The full form of Niti Aayog is National Institution for Transforming India. Niti Aayog is a policy think tank of Government of India. It cannot make the plans. So this is correct. Only the fourth statement is correct. All the other statements are actually wrong. Only the fourth statement is correct. Yes. Okay, absolutely correct. So here Niti Aayog was formed on January 1, 2015, and the Prime Minister of our country is the head of the Niti Aayog. Okay. Now coming to the next question, which of the following is not an indicator to measure the multidimensional poverty index? So multidimensional poverty index in context of the country or in context of the global multidimensional poverty index, what do you think that which of the following is not an indicator in the multidimensional poverty index? So it is profession actually. Profession is not an indicator to measure the multidimensional poverty index. Electricity, sanitation, cooking fuel, they all are a part of the multidimensional poverty index, but the profession is not a part of, yes, the profession is not a part of the multidimensional poverty index. Okay. So this is the idea. Now you can read more about the multidimensional poverty index. So this is the basic idea that multidimensional poverty index, this was launched by OPHI and the UNDP in 2010. The multidimensional poverty index is based on the idea that poverty is not unidimensional, it is multidimensional. Now Niti Aayog has also released the multidimensional poverty index for our country. So Niti Aayog has released the national multidimensional poverty index. Okay, so I hope you already know about it. Yes, and in the UNDP case, there are 10 indicators, but the National Multidimensional Poverty Index that Niti Aayog has created, it has 12 indicators actually. Okay, so National Multidimensional Poverty Index, it has 12 indicators, while the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index has only 10 indicators. So that's the difference. Now transfer payments are a part of current account under the balance of payments. In the current account, there is trade in services, there is trade in goods, there is also the transfer payments. But which of the following economics concept do not include or does not include the transfer payments? So I hope you already know about it, that personal disposable, like private income is the income that is received by the firms and by the households. Personal income is the income that is received by households. The personal disposable income is the income that is left with the households after paying the tax, so that the households can use for consumption and saving. Now national income is known as earned income. Earned income, when you are providing your services, then you can get the, if you are providing your services, then you can get the income, that is national income. So the earned income, this earned income do not include, the national income do not include the transfer payments, because transfer payments, they are unilateral in nature. So transfer payments such as the unemployment allowance, you are getting unemployment allowance, or let's say old age pension. So you are not providing any service, you are not providing any good to the government, but still the government is giving you the subsidies, still the government is giving you the unemployment allowance or the old age pension and such. So in this case, this is a transfer payment, this is a unilateral payment where you are not doing anything, but still the government is giving you some amount. National income, it only includes the earned income, that is when you are providing your service, and then you are earning some amount, that is included in national income. That means unilateral income is not included. Unilateral payments are not included in national income. Got it? Is it clear? So now coming to the next question, that consider the following pairs regarding different sectors of the economy and then try to answer the question. So here the primary sector, it contains all of the economic activities under which the raw materials extracted are processed and manufactured. No, primary sector includes, it is related to the economic activities which take place by using the natural resources. Okay, so this is wrong. The secondary sector is the one that processes or that manufactures. Okay, that includes the processing, manufacturing, construction and such. Quaternary sector is the highest level of the decision making in governments and the private corporates. So quaternary sector is correct. So there are actually three main sectors, that is the primary sector, that is using the natural resources like in agriculture or in fishing and such. Then there is the secondary sector, that is processing, manufacturing, construction. Then there is tertiary sector, that is including the services. Then there is quaternary sector. That is including the knowledge or the research and development. Then there is the quaternary sector. So these are the two new sectors that are added. So quaternary sector includes the government or decision making bodies, the head of the decision making bodies in a way. Okay, so here only the third statement was correct, and that's why here actually correctly matched. So only 3 is the right answer. So E is the right answer here. Got it? Yes, 1 and 2 is not correct. The first one is not, like in the primary sector, manufacturing is not included, and in the secondary sector, you are not exploiting the natural resources as such directly. Okay, here in the secondary sector, actually you are doing the manufacturing and such. So first and second are incorrect, only the third, sorry, first and second, yes, are incorrect, and only the third one is correct, and that's why E is the answer here. Okay. Next is, which of the following subsector does not come under the service sector in India? So real estate, transport and communication, defense service, public administration, they all come under the tertiary sector, they all come under the service sector, but the electricity, gas and water supply, they do not come under the service sector. So here you can see, as per the NSO, National Statistical Office, the primary sector is agriculture, livestock, forestry, fishing, mining and quarrying. Secondary sector is manufacturing, electricity, gas, water supply, other utility services such as like cable, wires and such. Services is related to, tertiary sector is related to, or service sector is related to your trade, hotels, transportation, communication services, financial, real estate, professional services, and public administration and such services. So I provided you the distinction so that you know that which are included in which sector. Now coming to the next question, that is, World Bank was originally the IBRD, that is the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, that was initially tasked with which of the following? So a very easy question, the World Bank was formed, or the IBRD and the IMF were formed at the end of the World War II. So you can understand that the IBRD was made focusing on the facilitation of the reconstruction of Europe after the World War II. After the World War II, there was the reconstruction that were required of the major economies such as European countries and the other economies that were hit by the World War II. Okay, so here the A is the right answer. Next is, which institution of the World Bank Group is known as soft loan window of the World Bank Group? Is it IFC, MEGA, IDA, IMF? IMF is not a part of World Bank Group, so IMF cannot be the answer. Now from the other four options, can you tell me that which is the answer? So it is IDA. It is IDA. It is the International Development Association that provides the loans, that is essentially or specially these are the interest-free loans that are provided to the world's poorest country. So IDA is the one that is providing the soft loan window. Okay. Yes. So C is the answer here. The IDA is the one. You can read more about the other institutions. So in the World Bank Group, there are 5 institutions, that is IFC, IDA, IBRD. IBRD is now known as World Bank. So IBRD is known as World Bank now. Now there is MEGA also, and there is ICSID. So I have provided you the basic information about all the 5 institutions. So the IBRD, that is now known as World Bank, is providing you the assistance to the middle income and poor but credit worthy countries. IDA provides the loans to the poorest of the countries. IFC promotes the private sector investment in such, and MIGA, that is Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, protects the foreign direct investment from the political risk. ICSID is providing you the Center for Settlement of Investment Disputes between the investors and between the foreign investors and the country. So this is the idea. Now coming to the next question, try to answer this. So in 1948, which organization became the forum for negotiation on trade liberalization? So it was GATT. It was GATT that was founded in 1948 to discuss about the trade liberalization. Okay. So GATT, that is General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. So this was the organization that was founded in 1948. Okay. Yes. Now coming to the next question, that with respect to WTO, which of the following statements is or are correct, that you have to tell me. So it facilitates the implementation, administration and operation of trade agreement. That is correct. To carry out periodic reviews. It carries out the periodic reviews of the trade policies of its member countries. That is also correct, that the WTO, the World Trade Organization, reviews the trade policies of the member countries. It reviews the trade policies of the member countries. Okay, so that the member countries can get the feedback that how they can improve their trade policy. To promote international monetary cooperation, no, it is the work of IMF to promote the international monetary cooperation. The WTO do not do so. So 1 and 2 are the correct statements, and that's why A is the right answer in this question. Absolutely correct. Okay. So now coming about the which of the following is not the function of IMF. So that you have to tell me that which of the following is not a function of IMF. So IMF manages the international monetary system for global payments. So that is correct. It is International Monetary Fund that looks after the international payment and settlement function. It advises on macroeconomic policies and exchange rates. That is also correct. It provides the advice. Okay. Macroeconomic advice. It accesses and regulates the political sectors. It cannot regulate the political sector. That is a very internal thing of a country. So the government of the country is there to regulate its political sector. IMF offers financial assistance, that is correct, and it also provides the technical assistance and training. Okay. So only the C is the incorrect statement here. You can see that the IMF provides for the capacity development, financial assistance as well as policy advice also, but it cannot start regulating the political sector of a country. Next is the World Trade Organization was established to implement the final act of dash round of agreement of the GATT. So WTO was established as per which round of the GATT? So it was the Uruguay round. It was the 8th round of the GATT. That was the Uruguay round as per which the WTO, that is the World Trade Organization, was established. Okay. Yes. Coming to the next question, which of the following statement correctly describe the balance of payment? So that you have to tell me. Very easy question. Try to answer this. Yes. So it is a systematic record of all economic transactions of residents of a country with their non-residents with the rest of the world in a given time period. So that is balance of payment. It only records the economic transactions. Non-economic transactions means interaction of the people. So we cannot record that. Okay. So it only records the economic transactions of the residents of a country with the rest of the world. So here the C is the right answer, and it records all the economic transactions, not only some. All the economic transactions are recorded between the residents and non-residents under the balance of payment. Next is, which of the following is not accounted for in the capital account under the balance of payment? So I have told you that in the capital account of balance of payment, we include the investment, borrowing, assistance and such. So direct investment is included in capital account. Borrowing, external commercial borrowing or short-term debt is also included in capital account. The remittances and grants, they come under the current account. They come under the current account. Okay. Portfolio investment is also coming under the capital account. So only C is the answer here, that it is not. The remittances and grants, they are not accounted in the capital account. They are accounted in the current account. Okay. So now next, in the context of balance of payment, what are accommodating transactions? So there are two kind of transactions. There are autonomous transaction. Autonomous means independent transactions. You do not care about the balance of payment situation. You are just exporting because you want to earn profits. You are importing because you want to get satisfaction from that product. So autonomous transactions are independent of the situation in the balance of payment. Accommodating transactions are the below the line transactions. Accommodating transactions are below the line transactions. These are the transactions to balance out the balance of payment, to make the overall balance equal to 0. So in case of any surplus or deficit, the accommodating transactions are done. So these are the transactions that are done to balance the surplus or deficit of the balance of payment. So this is the idea. Next is, with reference to GVA, with reference to gross value added, which of the following statement is or are correct? That you have to tell me. So it is defined as the value of output minus. So value, gross value added is equal to value of output minus the intermediate consumption. Yes, that is correct. It is estimated by the National Statistical Office. So yes, GVA, GDP, they are estimated by the National Statistical Office. From an economics perspective, it represents the supply side. So yes, if we are writing only GVA, so we are trying to see the GVA at FC. GVA at FC, that is deducting the indirect taxes and adding the subsidies. So we are trying to see the GVA at FC. So yes, it provides the supply side. In India, GVA is calculated at basic price. So now it is not calculated at fixed cost also. sorry, it is not calculated at factor cost now. From 2015 onwards, the GVA is calculated at basic prices. So whenever you are hearing that we are talking about GVA, so it is GVA at basic price that we are talking about, that is from the supply side. Okay, so here all of the above is the right answer. Here all of the above is the right answer. Coming to the next question, which of the following term denotes the average income that is earned by a person in India? So average income means total income divided by total population. So that is the average income that is earned by a person in India. That is on average how much each individual is earning in India. That is on average. So that is per capita income. That is per capita income or per head income on average. Okay. So that is average income earned by a person. Now coming to the next question, try to read this question and try to answer this question. So now coming to this question, consider the following statement regarding the impact of oil prices on the Indian economy. They increase the current account deficit. They increase the current account deficit. Yes, if the oil prices are increasing and we import the oil price, if the oil prices are increasing, so our import payments are increasing. That means it is increasing the current account deficit because we are receiving less than what we are paying. We are paying more. When we pay more, that means deficit is happening. So current account deficit is increasing. The increase in crude prices could also lead to deflationary pressures. No, it will lead to inflation in the country, because if the oil prices are increasing, if the fuel prices are increasing, the transportation cost will increase, and for most of the products that will be impacted in the inflation. So prices will start increasing. Okay, so second, it is wrong. If oil prices continues to increase, the government shall be forced to increase the taxes. It is not compulsory, first of all, and increasing taxes and loss of revenue, they don't go together. Okay, so the third statement do not make any sense. So second and third are wrong, and that's why one is the only answer. We had to find the correct statement, so A is the answer here. Okay, so I hope you have understood the logic. Deflation means that there is the prices, general price level is decreasing. That is deflationary pressure. That is general price level starts decreasing. But that is not possible when the oil prices are increasing. When the oil prices are increasing, most of the products prices will also start increasing. Okay, so here when the oil prices are increasing, it will lead to the inflationary pressure. So I hope this is clear. Next is poverty gap is defined as which of the following? Poverty gap means this is the below poverty line. So this is BPL line. The people are below the poverty line. Some people are very near to the poverty line. Let's say below the poverty line is like rupees 1000. If you are at rupees 1000, you are at the BPL line. If you are below that, you are below the poverty line, you are poor. So how poor you are? Like let's say you have rupees 700. Someone has rupees 100 only. So that means there is difference in the poor people also. So the ratio by which the mean income, the average income of the poor fall below the poverty line, that is poverty gap, to see the depth of the poverty, that how much depth is there in the poverty. Okay. Mayank, the first question was about the deflation and disinflation. Disinflation means that inflation rate is positive, but it is decreasing. Deflation means that the inflation rate is negative. There is no inflation, and the general price level is decreasing. Disinflation means that inflation is present, but at the present inflation is decreasing. There is positive inflation that is decreasing. Got it? Is it clear, Mayank? Try to answer this question, and if you have any query, you can ask. So calorie-based consumption approach was first adopted by YKL committee. So that is correct. The YKL committee adopted the calorie-based consumption. The Lakdawala committee said that we are going to follow the calorie-based consumption approach, but the Lakdawala committee said that we need to have the state-specific calorie-based consumption lines also. Okay, so the BPL lines or the below the poverty lines should be constructed, or the poverty lines should be constructed. The poverty line should be constructed for the states specifically also. So that was said by Lakdawala. It was Tendulkar committee that gave the mixed reference period, and expenditure on health and education constituted an important part since the beginning of the plans and such. No, it was the Tendulkar committee that said that the expenditure on health and education, they form the private expenditure. Okay, so these second and third statements are wrong. You have to find the correct statement. So one only is the correct answer. So it was the Tendulkar committee that incorporated the private expenditure on health and education. Before the Tendulkar committee, it was considered that the health and health expenditure, education expenditure, they are the public expenditure. Government do that. The private entities do not need to do that. Okay, so only the A statement was correct. So you can read about the different poverty, like just the important point about the committees. The YKL committee gave the calorie based consumption expenditure, and the YKL committee said that there is the calorie based consumption for the rural area, that in the rural area the people should have 2400 calories on the per day basis, and in the urban area the people should have the minimum of 2100 calories per day. Lakdawala committee said yes, we are going to follow the calorie based consumption expenditure, but there should be state specific poverty lines also, not only the poverty line for the rural area and urban area, not only two poverty lines, but we need to have the state specific poverty lines, state specific rural area poverty line, and state specific urban area poverty line. Tendulkar committee has given the mixed reference period, where they said that the consumption should be seen from different dimensions, that is the 1 year consumption of the 5 non-food items: clothing, footwear, durable goods, education and institutional medical expenses, and for the rest 30-day time period will be taken for the food and such. Okay, for the food, fuel, and we have to shift away from calorie consumption based poverty line, and we have to go towards the nutritional outcome, and we have to incorporate the private expenditure that is happening in the health and education area. As well as the Rangarajan committee gave the recommendation for modified mixed reference period, where he said that we have to take 1 year for the 5 non-food item, we have to take 30 days for the other items, but we have to take the time period of 7 days for the food items like vegetables, fruits, eggs and such, and 30 days for the rest of the items. So Rangarajan committee has just modified the mixed reference period by including a 7-day time period, that 7 days for edible oil, egg, vegetable and such. Coming to the next question, that a country wants to know whether the quantity of goods produced in that country has increased when compared to previous year. So here will we use nominal GDP, real GDP, per capita GDP, purchasing power parity. So if we want to see that the production has increased, so that we see through the real GDP, because in the real GDP we have the current production, in the real GDP we have the current production multiplied by the current prices, multiplied by the constant prices, that is the base year prices. So when the current production is increasing, the real GDP is increasing. That means when the production is increasing, only then the real GDP will increase, and the real GDP is the one that can show that the goods produced in the country are increasing. So here the real GDP is the answer, not nominal GDP, because in the nominal GDP we take current prices, and if the current prices are increasing, then also the nominal GDP can increase, not only because of production. So any confusion here? So real GDP is calculated at the constant prices or base year prices, while the nominal GDP is calculated at your current prices. So nominal GDP is calculated at current prices, so it cannot show, or it do not show the real aspect of the growth in the country, while the real GDP shows the production at the constant prices. So it actually shows that how much production has increased. Now the main difference between GDP and GNP is the main difference between GDP is the gross domestic product, while the GNP is gross national product. So what is the difference between domestic and national? The difference is net factor income from abroad. Okay. So capital consumption allowance is nothing else, it is the depreciation. Okay. Net factor income from abroad is the difference between the national and domestic. Okay. So this is the idea. The differences have been written here. So the difference between the national and domestic is the net factor income from abroad. Next is unemployment that arises during the phases of recession and depression. So because of the contraction in the economy, because of the recession or depression, the demand is low, the production is low. So when the production is low, the employment is low, the unemployment is higher. So during the recession and depression, the unemployment that is coming, this is known as cyclical unemployment. This is known as cyclical unemployment. So I hope this is clear that the unemployment that is coming during the recession or depression, this is cyclical unemployment. Okay, because of the recession, because of the contraction, because of the recession or depression, there is the contraction that is happening. With the contraction of the economy, when the demand is decreasing, production is decreasing, employment will decrease, unemployment will increase. This unemployment is the cyclical unemployment. Okay. Now frictional unemployment, when you are leaving your job to find another job. Let's say I leave my job to find another job, that is frictional unemployment. I am willingly leaving my job to find another job. So that is frictional unemployment. Structural unemployment is when the skill set is not matching. So the skills that I have is not required for the job. So I will lose my job until I find the skill set, until I improve my skills to get the job. So that is structural unemployment, when the skill set is mismatching because of technological change or something. Now disguised unemployment, that means you seem to be working but you are not adding anything to the production. Casual unemployment means that you are unemployed for like you are on the casual basis, you are unemployed. On some days you are employed, on some days you are unemployed. So that is casual unemployment. So there are different types of unemployment. Structural unemployment because of mismatch of the skills, frictional because you are leaving your job to find another job, cyclical because of the business cycles. When the depression or recession is happening, more unemployment will happen. Underemployment means you are very well educated but you are working at a job that is not able to utilize your skills. So that is underemployment. Okay. Disguised unemployment, you are not working, you seem to be working but you are not adding anything to the production. Seasonal unemployment, that is because of the seasons. Working seasons you get the employment, on the non-working seasons you are not getting the employment. Casual, where the workers are employed on the day-to-day basis. Chronic unemployment is when for long period of time there is very high unemployment. Open unemployment is when the large segment of the labor force does not get the job. Now labor force is what? Anyone can tell me what is the formula or what is labor force? Labor force is the total population of our country is the labor force. Can we say so? Even the children, even the small kids that are present in our country, are they the labor force? No. Labor force is your unemployed workers that are searching for jobs. So unemployed people that are searching for jobs and they are ready to work at the current wage rate. So they are your labor force, as well as the employed workers are the labor force. So unemployed people as well as the employed people, they are the labor force. The unemployed workers that are unemployed but they are searching for the jobs. Okay. Disguised unemployment means that you seem to be working like on a field. There are only 2 laborers that are required, but actually 5 people are working on the field because they are the family members. So these 5 people, they are producing the same good as the 2 people would have produced, that is 100 kgs of rice. So 2 people are producing 100 kgs of rice, 5 people are also producing 100 kgs of rice. So 3 people are actually not adding anything. Okay. So that is disguised unemployed. 3 people are disguised unemployed. Labor force is your unemployed people or unemployed workers plus employed workers. Okay. WTO agreements fall into simple structure of 6 main parts. So that is, First is your umbrella agreement that is telling about the WTO, that is telling about the functions, the responsibilities of WTO. Then there is the dispute settlement agreement under the WTO. Then there is the, so that is, there are 6 agreements in total under the WTO, or the 6 broad agreements. The first one is regarding the functions and the responsibilities of WTO. The second one is regarding the dispute settlement. Then there is the agreement on the government trade policy review, that the WTO is going to review the trade policies of the government. So there is an agreement regarding that also. Then the 4th, 5th and 6th agreements are regarding the goods to be traded, or the services, the trade in the services, the trade in the intellectual property, that is the creation of the mind. Okay, so there are in total 6 agreements: umbrella agreement, dispute settlement, review of government trade policy, goods, services and intellectual property. So technical assistance and training of developing economies, this is just a function of the WTO. This is not an agreement as such. Okay, so D is the answer, that this is not a agreement. There are 6 agreements. One is the umbrella agreement, that is talking about the functions, responsibility of WTO. Then there are agreements on goods, services, intellectual property, dispute settlement and policy review. Okay. Next is, now coming to the previous year question, we are going to discuss some previous year question. First of all, which of the following statement is not correct regarding Food and Agriculture Organization? So try to answer this. Which of the following statement is not correct regarding Food and Agriculture Organization? So FAO, it is headquartered in Rome, Italy. It is headquartered in Italy. So this is not correct. Okay. It is present. The present Director General of FAO is Ko Dangyu. It has 194 members. It is specialized agency of the United States. All the other statements are correct, but it is not present in Geneva, Switzerland. It is present in Rome, Italy. Next is Multidimensional Poverty Index is released by Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative along with which of the following? Along with the United Nations Development Program. So UNDP as well as the OPHI, they both together release the Multidimensional Poverty Index at the global level. Okay. Next is, yes. So next is that which of the following includes the difference between the export and import of goods and services? So it is, see, the balance of trade means the difference between the export of the goods and the import of the goods. When we say that it is export and import of goods and services both, this is included in the balance of payment, because balance of trade is only talking about the goods, the export and import of goods. So balance of payment include the export and import of goods as well as services. Okay. Now coming to the next question, the 12th 5-year plan covered the dash period. So from which period was covered by the 12th 5-year plan? So it was 2012 to 2017. But this plan stopped around 2015 because in 2015 Niti Aayog came into being, and Niti Aayog replaced the planning commission that used to form the 5-year plans. Okay. So planning commission was replaced by Niti Aayog in 2015. What does the term devaluation means? So when we talk about the flexible exchange rate system, that can change easily. So there is the flexible exchange rate system. So under the flexible exchange rate system, if our currency is becoming weaker, that is known as depreciation of rupees. If our currency is becoming stronger, that is known as appreciation of rupees. In the fixed exchange rate system, we call devaluation when the government or the Reserve Bank of India is making our currency weaker, like is reducing the value of our currency so that we can export more. Because when our value of our currency is depreciating, the exporters benefit, and when the appreciation is happening, the importers benefit. So maybe to help the exporters, there is the devaluation that is happening. So in the devaluation case also, exporters are helped. In the case of like revaluation, that the government is making our currency stronger. So that is, in this case, the importers are benefited. Okay. So devaluation means it is the decrease in the official, the RBI or the government is decreasing the official value of the currency in relation to the other currencies, and this is usually to help the exporters. This is usually to increase the exports from our country whenever we are decreasing our official value. So this used to happen under the fixed exchange rate system. Do we follow the fixed exchange rate system now? Do we keep our currency fixed? Let's say $1 is equal to 10 rupees. Do we keep our currency fixed? No. We follow the managed floating exchange rate system. That is, we are letting the currency to fluctuate but within some range. Okay. Next question is, so I hope till now everything is clear. So next question is, in India, small and marginal farmers have land holding of less than how much hectares? It is like the small and marginal farmers have, like in India, small and marginal farmers have land holding of less than 2 hectares, less than 2 hectares. So marginal farmers have the holding of 0 to 1 hectare, like less than 1 hectare we can say. Less than 1 hectare is with the marginal farmers and less than 2 hectares is with the small, like up to 2 hectares is with the small farmers. Okay. Now coming to some previous year question, let's see how many of you are able to solve these questions. So a market failure. If a market failure is happening, this can be best described as a situation where what is happening. If a market is failing, that means market failed to allocate the resources efficiently. The resource allocation is not happening properly. So market is failing means market is not able to allocate the resources efficiently. So here the A is the right answer. GDP growth. Now GDP is growing, the output is growing. That means the production is increasing. The real GDP is growing, that means production is increasing. Now production is increasing because there is increase that has happened in the quantitative increase in land, labor, capital has increased. So this is known as extensive growth. This is known as extensive growth when the GDP is growing, when the output is growing because of the increase in the inputs. Okay. So this is extensive growth. Okay. Here also the answer is A. So extensive growth is because of the increase in the inputs. If the output is increasing because of increase in the input, intensive growth is when the output is increasing because of increase in productivity. The inputs, the number of inputs, the quantity of inputs are same, but your productivity is increasing. So when the productivity is increasing with the same number of inputs, that is intensive growth. So that is the difference. I hope this is clear. Next one is that GDP deflator is defined as very easy, direct formula. So GDP deflator is what? Your GDP deflator is your nominal GDP divided by real GDP. Nominal GDP divided by real GDP. That is GDP deflator. Very easy, right? So these are some of the previous year questions. I hope that you all have already gone through the previous year questions, but I am bringing for you some examples that the questions come in a very simple manner. Just you need to have the basic clarity. Okay. Next is, how would a free market economy be described? So free market economy is your capitalist economy, which is letting the market to be free. So government interference should be minimum to no. There should be minimum to no government interference. That is free market, that the demand and supply conditions are determining the price and the quantity in the economy. So economy that is based on demand and supply conditions with little or no government intervention. So that is the free market economy, or that is a capitalist economy. Okay. Now a socialist economy is where the resources are being controlled by the government. Where the resources are being controlled by the government, there is no private property or such. In India, do we have a capitalist economy or socialist economy, or do we have a mixed economy? Anyone can tell me? Yes, Mayank, you can say so. In our country, what is the economic system we are following? What is the economic structure that we are following? We are following a mixed economic structure, right? We are following the mixed economy. We are also having the government intervention when required, like the ration shops where the price is controlled in a way or the prices are determined, while we are also having the free market structure where the prices are determined by the demand and supply conditions. Very good, everyone. Now coming to the next question, that is which of the following. So these are the last two questions from my end. Then we will continue with the social issues segment. So which of the following organization conditionalities were followed in executing the 1991 LPG reforms? So liberalization, privatization, globalization reforms were followed because of the boost that was given, or because of the conditionalities of which of the following. So it was the International Monetary Fund and the IBRD, that is now known as World Bank. So IMF and IBRD together, they imposed some conditionalities so that we can have more of the freedom to the industries so that we can reduce the licensing raj in our country. So as you can see, this is from the NCRT, that the IMF and the World Bank, that was at that time known as IBRD. So IBRD and IMF, they together imposed the conditionalities so that we have the liberalization, privatization, globalization, so that we can open up our economy for the growth of the country. Next is International Monetary Fund is headquartered at. So IMF is headquartered at which area or which country? So it is in Washington DC. The headquarters of IMF is in Washington DC. And when was IMF formed? That was also one question. So can you answer me that when was IMF formed? Was it in which year? 1944. So it was in 1944 that the IMF was formed. Okay. So it is headquartered in Washington DC. So now Jaskan sir is going to come and he is going to continue the session for the social issues questions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the introduction. So now we are going to begin with the social issues introduction. Fine. So let me just put on the mic. Fine. So the first question is there on your screen, and I want each and every one of you to participate while answering the questions. Fine. So each and every one of you should write your answers in the chat box. So the first question is, which of the following statements about the Indian Constitution is incorrect? So please mark your answers. The first is the Indian Constitution is the lengthiest written constitution in the world. The second is the Constitution of India is a blend of rigidity and flexibility. The Constitution provides for single citizenship for all citizens of India, and the Indian Constitution explicitly mentioned the term federalism. And the last one is the Indian Constitution has a unique combination of unitary and federal features. So mark your answers. Yes, Mayank is writing D, Vedant is writing D, Varsha D. So most of you are writing D as the answer to this question. So yes, since the question is asking about the incorrect option, so the answer is going to be the D one. And why D is the answer to this question? In order to know that, we need to understand the Article 1 of the Constitution. So as we know, what is there in the Article 1 of the Constitution? That India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. So this is something that is very much explicitly mentioned as a part of your constitution. So nowhere in this Article 1, even if it claims India to be a union of states, it promotes the idea of federalism. But the term federalism has not been mentioned explicitly as a part of our constitution. Though India follows the ideas of federalism, but the term is not mentioned in the constitution. And that is why this is going to be the answer of this question. So I hope the idea is clear to you. Fine. Now let us move on to the next question. So which of the following strategies is most effective for rural poverty alleviation? So this is a very easy question. Such type of questions have also been asked in the previous questions. So that is why we have added it as a part of this MCQs. So please answer this question. Question number 52. Which of the following strategies is most effective for rural poverty alleviation? Everybody write your answers. Mayank is saying 52A, Nilesh A, Supriya A, Riya A, Ashish is also writing A, Shalini A. So yes, great. I'm happy that most of you are getting it right. So yes, the answer is going to be the microfinance initiatives. So what are basically microfinance initiative? So basically, in order to understand the microfinance initiatives, you should know what the microfinance sector is, what the microfinance institutions are. So the basic characteristics with respect to the microfinance institutions is that they provide collateral free loans. So the first thing is that they provide collateral free loans. The second feature is that they provide small amount of loans. And the third feature is that they provide loans to the vulnerable and marginalized sections of the society. Fine. So this is the main objective. So you can see the main characteristics with respect to the microfinancing. And if you see the question clearly, which of the following is the most effective for the rural poverty alleviation? So yes, microfinance is going to be that answer. Whereas if you read rest of the options, which is the urbanization projects, luxury tourism, stock market investment, IT advancements, easily you can eliminate these options and you can reach the right answer. Fine. I hope it is clear to you. Now let us see the question number 53. So which of the following statements about the preamble of the Constitution is incorrect? So mark your answers. Which of the following about the preamble of the Constitution is incorrect? Mark your answer. Vedant is writing C. Shreyas C. Supriya is writing D. Nilesh is writing E. Now we are getting different answers. So let us see which one is the correct option. Write your answers. I want each and every one of you to participate. So if I read the options for you, the first option is the preamble outlines the ideals and objectives of the Constitution. This is very much a right fact that yes, preamble outlines such objectives that are enshrined in the Constitution. Then preamble declares India to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. This is, a very straightforward option. If you have read preamble, you must have seen all these terms. Fine. Then preamble is a part of a Constitution and can be amended. Is it a right option or not? Many of you have written C as the answer. So C is not going to be the answer because this is a correct option. And let me tell you that under the 42nd Amendment Act, what happened? This preamble was amended. And under the 42nd Amendment Act, can anyone tell me what were the amendments that were brought under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act? So in case somebody is writing the answer, keep typing it. Let me read the next option also, that the preamble cannot be used as a source of interpreting the Constitution. Now this is something, an incorrect option. Why incorrect option? Because yes, Supreme Court or any court can use preamble in order to interpret the different provisions mentioned in the constitutions. And let me tell you that in the SR Bomai case, this specific fact was very much highlighted. It was said in SR Bomai case that the preamble contains the fundamental values with respect to our countries, and these fundamental values shall not be violated. Fine, they shall be respected. So I hope it is clear to you. Yes, Rohit and Rahul, all of you have given the right answers that under the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, the terms secular, integrity and socialist, SIS, these three things were added as a part of our constitution, and they were added under the preamble. Fine. So that is why this C is going to be the correct, this is the correct statement with respect to the preamble. And since the question is asking about the incorrect one, so that is why D is going to be the answer to this question. Fine. So let us see the next question now. The question number 54. What is the key benefit of promoting multiculturalism in the context of rural development? Very easy question to answer. All of you can answer this question. Such a straightforward question. So let me see your answer. 54A. Okay, Rohit is writing C. Vicky is also writing C. A and C. Two answers we are getting. Okay, what about others? Write your answers. Okay, A, C. Different answers I am getting. Okay, so let us see what is going to be the answer to this easy question. So the question is, what is a key benefit of promoting multiculturalism in the context of rural development? So the first point is regarding the cultural homogeneity. Now, cultural homogeneity cannot be the answer of this question. Why? Because we know what the multiculturalism is all about. It talks about the multiculturality. It does not talk about the cultural homogeneity. Cultural homogeneity means there is a singular culture that is dominant in a certain society. So it does not talk about cultural homogeneity, or I would say it basically multiculturalism promotes the cultural heterogeneity, not the homogeneity. Fine. So homogeneity is not going to be the option. Now increase social division. Now how can the multiculturalism promote the social division? Can it promote the the caste, the class, such type of based societies? That is not something an idea of the social divisions. Fine. Now the strict assimilation of policies. Now strict assimilation of policies, these things can lead to the conflict in the society, because policies should be assimilated not basically in a strict manner but in a democratic manner, so that each and every culture can link to each other, they can learn from each other, and that is why this cannot be the option. Now the language uniformity, this is a very obvious option that we all can eliminate. This is something very much strictly against the multiculturalism essence. Fine. So what can be the answer of this question, which is the enhanced social cohesion between the different type of communities among the society? Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Now let us see the next question. Question number 55. Again, a very easy question to answer. What is a fundamental pillar of human development as emphasized by organizations like NABARD? So I hope the confusion is clear between A and C with respect to the question number 54. Fine. A is not going to be the answer to this question, to that question. Now question number 55. D. Okay, all of you are giving the same answer. Great. Let me tell you that all of you are right. Fine. Yes, this is the answer to this question. That the most fundamental pillar of human development. Now, what does human development include? Basically the development of human. Very basic term. For example, contributing in the health, contributing in the education, contributing in the other different type of social dimensions, for example standard of living, all such kind of things. And we have to make sure that whatever policies, whatever development we are doing with respect to the human resource in a country or in a society, it should meet all these pillars in an inclusive manner and also in a sustainable manner. That is, it should sustain for a long period of time. So D is going to be the answer. Fine. So I'm not getting any mixed responses. So I think all of you are confident about this option. And yes, so let us move on to the next question. Fine. So question number 56. Which factor is most likely to contribute to the success of a social movement? Answer this question. Which factor is most likely to contribute to the success of a social movement? Nilesh is writing E. Others are writing D. Nilesh, what is the problem? Are you not reading the question correctly? Please read the question again. Yes, now Nilesh has changed the answer. So yes, KDB, I don't know why you have written C with respect to this answer. So which factor is most likely to contribute to a success of any social movement? Social movement is basically any movement that aims to bring any big reform, any major change in the society. For example, let us say you must have heard about the Chipko movement. How many of you know about the Chipko movement? And in the chat box, also tell me who was the leader of the Chipko movement. The main leader of the Chipko movement. Chipko movement basically, it fought for the social cause in the society. It was basically a social movement. And when we talk about the social movement, the most important thing with respect to social movement is going to be the broad-based approach. Why the broad-based approach? Because any social movement cannot be possible without the public support. If there is not a big support with respect to that certain movement, because if the public is not supporting that certain project, a certain goal, certain certain movement. For example, you can take any movement. You can take the movement with respect to sati. You can take movements with respect to environment. You can take the example of historically the movements with respect to the caste, the movement with respect to the different type of labors, the labor rights that were there. So all these things, what did these things require in a primary manner? It was the broad-based support. So it is going to be the most likely factor that is going to contribute to the success of the social movement. Fine. So I hope it is clear. Now the next question, question number 57. Yes, everyone has given the right answer. So the Chipko movement leader was Sundar Lal Bahuguna. Yes. Sundar Lal Bahuguna and Gaura Devi. Great, great, great. Now the question number 57. So the question number 57 is with respect to the gender budgeting. So please mark your answers. So 57 D, D. What about others? Write your answers. Whatever you think is the right answer to the question. Yes, as most of you have given the right answer, so let me read the question for you. That the gender mainstreaming is integral to promoting social equality in the context of rural development as emphasized by NABARD. Which of the following statements is incorrect? So it is asking about the incorrect statements regarding the gender budgeting that promotes the gender mainstreaming. So the first is it is a strategy to achieve equality between women and men by focusing on how public resources are collected. Yes, that is true. Then it is an important public governance tool that promotes that governments can use to impact gender equality and assess how budget decisions promoted. That is also true. It recognizes that if gender disparities are to be addressed, adequate monetary allocations are to be made for the achievements of desired outcomes. That is again a very straightforward, easy statement. Fine. The fourth is it seeks to create a separate budget to promote equality through budget process. Now this is something problematic. Now gender budget, we all know that gender budgeting does not aim to create a separate budget as far as the budgeting is concerned. Instead of creating a separate budget, basically it talks about incorporating the idea of gender goals in the normal, or you would say the general budget of the government. So basically the gender budget, or we say gender budget statement, it includes two parts. Fine. So let me get the space. So it includes two parts. The first part is part A and the second part is part B. So part A includes basically those schemes of the government under the gender budgeting statements that are 100% allocated towards the women. Fine. Whereas part B includes those schemes that where at least 30% of the contribution should be towards the women. Fine. So this is regarding the gender budgeting. Can you tell me the year in which the gender budgeting was started in India for the first time? Can you tell me that year in the chat box? Write it down. The year in which gender budgeting was introduced in India for the first time. Which year it was? In which union budget? Right? If you do not know the answer, simply write IDK. Okay, Bhavesh is writing, sir, be slightly fast. Am I going too slow? You want me to go fast? Write the year in which gender budgeting was, it began in India. Yes, Shri has written the answer. It is the Union Budget 2005 to 2006. Fine. So this was the year in which the gender budgeting was started in India. Now the next question, 58. What does the term social justice primarily refer to in context of NABARD objectives for rural development? What does the term social justice primarily refer to in context of NABARD's objective of rural development? So the first option is unequal distribution of resources. Second is fair and equitable treatment of all individuals. Then religious exclusivity, then caste-based reservation, and lastly economic hierarchy maintenance. So what is the answer? Let me see your answers. All of you are writing B as the answer to this question, and yes, very easy, B is the answer, because social justice aims to promote to increase equality and to reduce disparity in the society. So this is something that is very much aligning with respect to that goal. Now the question number 59. Which of the following statement regarding the concept of judicial review in India is incorrect? Which of the following statement regarding the concept of judicial review in India is incorrect? So mark your answers. Question number 59. Mark your answers quickly, quickly, quickly. Okay, do not be quick. This question is lengthy, so take your time to read the statements. Take your time and mark your answers. So 59, most of you are writing D as the answer. So what about others? Immediately write your answers. So judicial review is a process by which judiciary can review the constitutionality of legislative and executive actions. Yes, this is what judicial review is. The power of judicial review is derived from Article 13 of the Constitution. This is also again a true fact. Then the doctrine of judicial review ensures that all laws inconsistent with fundamental rights are void. Again, very much true. Then judicial review is applicable only against the union laws and not against the state laws. This is something, a wrong option, because it is applicable on the laws that are passed by the legislature. Does not matter if it is parliament or the union government, and does not matter if it is the state government. So that is why D is going to be the incorrect option. And I hope you already know what the judicial review is. There is a question for you. You can write in the chat box, that is judicial review. The term judicial review has been mentioned in the Constitution or not? Is the term judicial review has been mentioned in the Constitution or not? Write your answers immediately. Write yes or no in the chat box. Is the term judicial review has been mentioned in the Constitution or not? Yes, Shri has given the very precise answer. No, it does not. It is not mentioned. Fine. So the term is not mentioned. Though the power of judicial review is there, the power has been derived from primarily the Article 13 of the Constitution, but the term itself is not explicitly mentioned. Fine. So this is the idea regarding this. So that's why D is the answer to this question. Now the next question. Dash is a financial intermediary committee in villages with 10 to 20 people. Dash is a financial intermediary committee in a village with 10 to 20 people. So what is the answer for the question number 60? Yes, Nilesh is writing C, 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 C. So everybody is writing C as the answer to this question. Very easy question. Few questions are very easy. So C is the answer to this question. So we all know what the self-help groups are. Basically, these are the groups of 10 to 12 individuals who are formed in the villages, and what they do, they provide financial support to each other. They work with each other in order to raise their socio-economic status in the society. Fine. A very good example of self-help group is the Lijjat Papad. A very popular example in India. You can Google it, that how this Lijjat Papad, an initiative and SHG program that was started by women, basically by 7 to 8 women. Now it has more than 20,000 members in Lijjat Papad, and they started with papad and now they sell other commodities also, and it is a very good example of this self-help group. Fine. So as all of you have given the right answer. Now the next question. Question number 61. Which of the following statements regarding the concept of demographic dividend are correct? Which of the following statement regarding the concept of demographic dividend are correct? Take your time, read the question and mark your answers. Which of the following regarding the concept of demographic dividend are correct? So let me see your answers. Shri is writing B, Akash is writing B. What about others? I want each and every one of you to participate. Please do not be lazy. Write your answers. If you do not know, write IDK, I don't know. But please participate. So question number 61. Yes, so let me read the question. So the demographic dividend refers to the economic growth potential that can result from the shifts in a country's age structure, mainly when the working age population is larger than the non-working population. So what is basically the working age population? Of course, very much straightforward. Those people who are working, people like me, people like you, who are basically working and contributing to your household and to the economy. Whereas who are non-working population, basically the elderly population and also the small children, fine, who are not working, fine. So it should be, working population should be more than the non-working. Then the countries with a high dependency ratio are better positioned to experience a demographic dividend. Now tell me, how can a country with high dependency ratio basically means where the non-working population is more than the working population. So if the non-working population is more, then how come it is going to lead to, help us to reap the benefits of the demographic dividend? So that is not going to be the answer. So this statement is incorrect. So to fully realize the benefits of demographic dividend, a country must also ensure investments in education, healthcare and job creation. This is very important point regarding demographic dividend, and yes, it is true. Then the window of opportunity for the demographic dividend typically lasts for several decades and is followed by an aging population. Yes, so this is also very much true, and same is applied to India also. In today's scenario, we are facing the demographic dividend, but tomorrow when this same population, this youthful population is going to get old, then it will increase the aging population in our country. Then the last point is, a country with declining birth rate and low death rate has automatically secured benefits of the demographic dividend. Now this is something a wrong option, because it does not, nothing leads to automatically contribution of demographic dividend, because we need the investment in the social sector, for example in the health, in the infrastructure, with respect to education. So the investment is needed all over the places. It does not lead to automatically reaping the benefits of the demographic dividend. So this is going to be the incorrect option. So the correct option is going to the B1, which is the 1, 3 and 4. Fine. So can you also tell me one question, that what is the median population of India? The median age population of India. Fine. What is the median age with respect to the population of India presently? Now let us move on to question number 62. If you know that answer, write it in the comment box. If you do not know, it is your homework. Fine. So find it. What is the median age population with respect to India? And now answer the question number 62. So what is the significance of right to education in India? What is the significance of right to education in India? Mark your answers. Yes. 62, B. All of you are giving the right answers. So promoting religious exclusivity in schools, ensuring free and compulsory education for all children. So basically this statement, I am very sorry, this statement is basically incomplete, because for all children between what age? Can anyone write between what age? Let us see how many of you know between what age. Ensuring free and compulsory education for all children between. Yes, Suraj. Last year also, many questions were asked from the political system in India. So that's why, I have added some basic questions from that part. So, which population is age is there? Yes, Shri has written for the age group of 6 to 14. Fine. So, this is something regarding the right to education. Now, another question: is this right to education act? Is the right to education is a part of our fundamental right or not? And if yes, then under which article? And if no, then also write your answer. If yes, then tell me the article, and if no, then tell me that if it is there or not. Write yes or no, and if yes, then tell me the article if you are able to remember. Yes, it is a part of fundamental right. So basically it is a fundamental right of our constitution under the article 21A. Fine. So earlier it was not there when it was passed in the parliament by the government, but later on by the 86th constitutional amendment act of the government, what they did with the 86th constitutional amendment, that they brought this right to education as a part of our fundamental right under the article 21A. Fine. So that is the idea. Now the next question number 63. Article 32 of the Indian constitution guarantees A, B, C, D, E. Article 32 of the Indian constitution guarantees what? Write your answers. Yes, for the question number 63, as all of you are writing, the answer of this question is going to be the C1. Very straightforward question. So basically, when we talk about Article 32, it talks about the right to constitutional remedies. And under this right to constitutional remedies, the articles empowers the citizens to go to the Supreme Court if their fundamental rights get violated. Fine. And what the Supreme Court can do, it can pass various orders and the directions. For example, it can pass the writs, different type of writs, for example habeas corpus, the mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, then also the quo warranto, all such kind of things. Fine. So basically it is under the article 32, all such kind of things. Yes, Shri, you have written very precisely. Great. Now the question number 64. Which of the following articles of the Indian constitution prohibits employment of children in factories? Prohibits employment of children in factories. Yes, so let me see your answer. So C, and Supriya is writing A. So A and C, two type of answers we are getting. A and C, A and C. What about others? Right, prohibits employment of children in factories. So basically, why you are getting this confusion? Because both three are A and C, they both come under the right to exploitation. Fine. So right to prohibit exploitation. So article 23 is basically linked to the women trafficking, whereas article 24 is linked to this answer of the question, which is the employment of children in factories. Article 22 is linked to the arrest and detention. Article 21 is linked to the life and liberty, right to life and liberty, whereas article 26 is related to right to managing the religious affairs. Fine. So the answer to this question is going to be the C option, which is article number 24. Fine. This is going to be the answer to this question. Now the next question, 65. Am I going too slow? Please write in the chat box. Manam is asking me to make it a bit fast. Am I going too slow? So question number 65. Mark your answers. KDB is saying no sir, it's fine. Okay, some of you are saying my speed is slow, others are saying it's fine. I do not know. I'm trying to keep it moderate. I'm just giving you the basic explanation part that is required. I think that is mandatory for all type of students, and that is why I think taking it's taking some time. So please mark your answers. Yes, 65A, 65A. What about others? I'm seeing very few answers over there. Only 1, 2, 3, 4 answers are written. What about others? If you do not know, write IDK. If you do not know, write IDK. Okay, so let me read the question. So, which of the following is the first stage in the theory of demographic? So, high birth and death rate will almost neutralize each other. Death rate is decreasing while death rate is decreasing while the birth rate remains constant, and birth rate as compared to death rate declines more rapidly. So instead of reading all this statement, let me just briefly explain you what the demographic transition model is. So let me explain you in a very simple language. Okay, then you will automatically reach the answers, those of you who do not know the answer. So first happens is that basically in this demographic transition theory, this theory talks about how the different nations population grow, you know, with the pace of time, with the advent of time, how the population of different nations, different countries keep on growing. Fine. So this reflects a certain type of trend with respect to that, with respect to the transformation of countries population over the time. Fine. So this basically talks about the four stages: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, and the stage 4. The stage 1 is with respect to the high stationary population. What happens in this case? That in this case both the birth rate and the death rate, they are high. Fine, both the birth rate and death rate are high. What happens in the early expanding? Then the death rate falls. Fine, the death rate falls. Why the death rate falls? Because let us say because of the increase in the healthcare facilities of a country, when that country keeps on transforming, because of the increase in the healthcare facilities and different kind of technological advancements, the death rate falls in that country, but the birth rate is still the same. Then what happens in the third phase, which is the late expanding? The birth rate falls. Now when the birth rate will fall, why the birth rate can fall? Because now people are getting awareness with respect to the pros and cons of the population. For example, the national population policy, if you talk in context of India and other countries also, what they do, they start promoting the awareness with respect to the challenges that are there with the high population. So what people do, because of this awareness, the birth rate also falls in that country, also because of, you know, the adoption of contraceptives. This is also one of the important reasons because of which the birth rate also falls. And the last one is the low stationary. What happens in the low stationary? That both death rate and the birth rate are low. And why it is low? Basically it is witnessed in the high industrialized nations, basically where the standard of living is very high. Fine. So it is basically seen in those countries. If I give you example, for example, you know, there can be other reasons also, but for example, Japan is one of those countries where the which is witnessing this type of era. Fine. So if you see all these trends with respect to the demographic transition model, then the correct answer is very easily the A option. Fine. So high birth and the high death rate almost neutralize each other. So this is regarding the first phase of the demographic transition model. I hope it is clear to you. Very easy to answer. Now the next question. Question number 66. Which of the following challenges is commonly associated with rapid urbanization? Very easy question. Please answer. Which of the following challenges is commonly associated with rapid urbanization? Yes, as all of you are writing, D is going to be the answer to this question, which is very straightforward, the unplanned urban growth. Because why it is a challenge? Because unplanned urban growth, what it will lead to? It will lead to, the insufficient infrastructure, then it will lead to the problems like traffic congestion, then it will lead to the formation of, the other type of challenges, for example, the slums that are prevalent in the urban area because of the lack of planning. All such kind of things are the challenges due to the unplanned urban growth with respect to the urbanization, the rapid urbanization. Fine. Now the question number 67. Sorry, this question got repeated from my side. So let us see the question number 68. What is India ranks in latest Human Development Index report for the year 2023 to 24 released by the UN Development Program, UNDP? So what is the rank of India with respect to that? Yes, yes, yes. All of you are giving the correct answer. The correct answer to this question is the C option, which is 134. So we all know what Human Development Index is. It basically talks about three dimensions: health, education, and the standard of living. So under this, there is subcategorization also, which you can read on your own. Otherwise, the discussion will become lengthy. Fine. So this is regarding Human Development Index, and the rank was 134th. Now the next question: which of the following strategies supports the integration of multiculturalism in agriculture practices? So you can see we are integrating multiculturalism and the agriculture. So what do you think would be the correct option for that? Very easy question to answer. Mark your answers. Yes, Siddhant, it's 134. Great, great. Question number 69. Write your answers. Rohit is writing D. Suraj is writing D. What about others? Multiculturalism. Please do not ignore the term multiculturalism. How? Which of the following options is closely related to the cultural practices? Okay, D and B, two answers we are getting. So the answer to this question is basically going to be the B option. Why the B option? Because standardization of crop varieties is not promoting, the multiculturalism. Standardization means basically what you have done, you have taken few crop varieties and let us say this crop variety grows by X method. So you have standardized that method instead of, by ignoring the Y method. So what it is doing, it is going basically against the spirit of multiculturalism. So standardization is not multiculturalism. The option is going to be the B option. For example, indigenous knowledge preservation, the indigenous communities that are there. If I give you the example with respect to that, so let me give you the example. You must have heard about the Zabo method. Zabo is basically, an indigenous method with respect to the water management. And this Zabo method is there in the indigenous method with respect to the Nagaland tribal communities. I'm not able to recall the name of the tribe, which uses this Zabo method. You can Google it, but just an example. Similarly, Pokalli rice cultivation. Rice cultivation. This is what? This is a very popular indigenous method of rice cultivation from Kerala. Fine. So this is how, the preservation of indigenous knowledge helps in promoting the multiculturalism in our country. And that is why, D is not the option. B is going to be the option. D means it is promoting uniformity, not the multiculturality. Fine. So I hope it is clear. Yes, Shanmuga Priya, it deals with crop productivity. Fine. Now let us move on to the next question. Asked in, one of the previous questions on NABARD. So which among the following associated with Beej Bachao Andolan initiated in 1986? Which among the following is associated with Beej Bachao Andolan initiated in 1986? So the first option is the Sundarlal Bahugana, then Padurang Hegde, then Medha Patkar, then Vijay Jardhari. So what is your answer? Let me see in the chat box. Yes, yes, B and D. Two types of answers we are getting. Shalini has written B as the answer to this question. So the answer to this question is going to be the D one. So basically Sundarlal Bahugana, he has contribution in the Chipko movement. Fine. So he has contribution with respect to the Chipko movement. Padurang Hegde has contribution with respect to a Pico movement. Medha Patkar has contribution with respect to the Narmada Bachao Andolan. Fine. Narmada Bachao Andolan. Whereas Vijay Jardhari has contribution with respect to the Beej Bachao Andolan. Fine. So that is the explanation part, and I hope it is clear to you. One of the easy question but asked in NABARD Grade A 2021. Fine. So such type of easy questions are also asked. Now the question number 71. Which of the following government initiative is specifically focused on urban development and housing? Which of the following government initiatives specifically focused on urban development and housing? So again, very easy question to answer. Please mark your answers. Only few questions are left now. Till question number 80, we are going to solve it. Only 10 questions are left. So mark your answers. 71. Yes, yes, yes. Everybody has given the right answer. I don't think that if I even need to explain it. Very obvious answer. Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Fine. Basically, which is with respect to the which focused on the development or housing in the urban areas. Fine. So now the next question. Sorry, this question got repeated from my side. I'm very sorry. So the next question now. So which of the following principles is integral to promoting social equality in the context of rural development as emphasized by NABARD? So mark your answers for the question number 74. She is writing A, Vedant is writing A. Quickly, only 6 questions are left. Yes, yes. Siddhant is writing D. So the correct answer to this question is very easy, which is the gender mainstreaming, which is basically providing equal opportunities to both men and women. Fine. So providing equal opportunities and fair treatment to both men and women is one of the important principles with respect to the social equality. Fine. So I hope it is clear to you. Very easy question to answer. Now the question number 75, which is regarding the DPSPs, Directive Principles of State Policy. So which of the following about the DPSP in India is not correct? Mark your answers. Mark your answers. Question number 75. Yes, great. So the question answer to the question number 75 is going to be the A option. Fine. Because why the A option? Because this is something, the idea, the statement with which why the DPSP are different from the fundamental right. So if we talk about this, this statement, then DPSPs are justiciable. No, they are not justiciable. Fine, though they act as the guiding light to the government with respect to the enforcement of the policies and the implementation of the programs and different things, but they are not justiciable and they are not enforceable by the courts. Fine. So this is the idea regarding it. Very easy question, the basic idea regarding the DPSP. Now the question number 76. Which of the following best defines the role of social movements in context of rural development as per NABARD's perspective? Which of the following best defines the role of social movements in the context of rural development as per NABARD's perspective? For the social movement, I just gave you this type of question we have discussed previously also. Yes, for the 76, the answer is going to be, as most of you are writing, the answer is going to be the C1, the collective efforts for social change. Because as I told you, no social movement can be possible without the support of the public. Fine, we need the support of public so that we can convert that a certain initiative into a big movement. So movement is not somebody that theoretically that is brought by a single individual, that is done by only a leader, but leader is also followed by the masses. So what do we need? We need collective efforts for social change and the empowerment. Fine, without that the social movement is not possible as far as the theoretical concept is concerned. Now the question number 77. What is the primary objective of the national education policy? What is the primary objective of the national education policy? Yes, very easy question to answer again. So basically C is going to be the answer to this question, to foster holistic and multidisciplinary education. That is going to be the answer to this question. So national education policy, we all know it aims to increase the public investment with respect to education, then increase in the gross enrollment ratio, to provide multidisciplinary areas with respect to education in different streams. All such things basically are covered under the objective of the national education policy. Fine, very easy question. Now let us see the next question. Which of the following peasant movements was aimed at securing 2/3 of the produce for sharecroppers in Bengal? Which of the following peasant movements was aimed at securing 2/3 of the produce for sharecroppers in Bengal? So mark your answers. For the question number 79, mark your answers. So basically the answer to this question, as many of you are writing, which is the Tebaga movement. So what was Tebaga movement? Tebaga basically means teen bhaga, which means 1/3. Fine. So what does it mean? That basically what used to happen during the time of Britishers, there were bargadars. Who were bargadars? Bargadars. These bargadars were sharecroppers. Fine. They were sharecroppers. Whereas the other, the category was the landlords. And who were those landlords? They were known as jotidars. Fine. So during the Britishers, what used to happen? This Tebaga movement was very much popular in Bengal in 1946 to 47. Fine. So what used to happen? These bargadars who were sharecroppers, they used to give half of the produce to the landlords. But this half amount, it was very big for the sharecroppers to be shared with the landlords. So what they did, they brought this Tebaga movement in order to reduce this amount what they are sharing with the jotidars or the landlords. So they reduce it to what? They reduce it to 1/3, which basically means that out of one, the 1/3 will be given to the jotidars, which are the landlords, whereas the rest of the 2/3 will be kept by the sharecroppers only. Fine. So that is the idea regarding, or I would say the main goal, or the main the main idea regarding how the Tebhaga movement worked and what was the objective of Tebhaga movement. So 3 bhaga, so 1/3 will be by the jotidars, 2/3 by the sharecroppers. Fine. I hope it is very much clear to you. Now let us see the last question for today. Very easy question. So let us see how many of you are able to answer this. So question number 80. Which demographic theory suggests that the population growth tends to outpace the production of food and other resources, leading to potential crisis? So mark your answers. So question number 80. Mark your answers. Yes. So the answer to this question, as many of you are writing, is going to be the C option. So what happens in case of Malthusian theory? Basically, Malthusian theory says that it shows the contradiction between the population versus the food supply. Fine. So it says that the population of a certain country, it grows exponentially. The population of a country grows exponentially, whereas the food supply of that country, it grows arithmetically. Now what does it mean? That the population of the country is growing exponentially, which means if there are 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16, 16 to 32, this is exponential increase. What is arithmetic increase? Arithmetic increase means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is arithmetic increase. This is something that the Malthus theory says. So what will happen because of this exponential increase in the population, which means the population is increasing at more pace with respect to the food supply. So what is going to happen in the long term as compared to the Malthus theory? In the long run, this population is going to outpace the production of food. So this population is going to outpace the production of food because the population is going exponentially and this one is going arithmetically. This is the crux of this Malthus theory and Malthusian theory, and I hope it is very much clear to you. And that is it for today from my side. And if the session was helpful for you, then do like it, and what can I say, you can comment it under the video. And that is it for today from our side, and you can download the PPT of this whole discussion, of this whole MCQ from our Telegram channel. You can join our Telegram channel and there you will get the PPTs. Fine. So I hope the session was very much helpful for you. We will keep on bringing such sessions in the future also. So thank you so much and all the best for your preparation. Fine.